The views on this program do not reflect those of ONTV or its board of directors. Welcome to OAA Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Taormina.
Welcome to OAA Now. Here I'm Sammy Taormina, blogger, the Dragons Insider, blogger of Inside the OAA, and one of the hosts of Between Two Minutes on Orion Neighborhood Television. I'd like to welcome those watching on the local voice on SoundCloud, those watching on Orion Neighborhood Television, and also those watching on the live stream.
Yes, the live stream. We're trying to start the live streams a little earlier for everybody to get on board, get notified. So a couple minutes early, we put up a little slate just so if you're watching 10 a.m. on Mondays, if you want to watch live, we'll give you a little heads up before we go. Still ironing out the kinks, still getting used to the live aspect, right, Sam?
We really are. I mean, like, a lot of good action from week 6. I mean, like,
Week 6 was one of those, sometimes you think you know a team,
and sometimes
and then
you don't.
And but there are some teams that are really starting to solidify themselves as legit, and some we're still kind of going, who are they?
Who are they? You know what I mean? So
yeah, and the other thing too that we have to watch out for is the big C. COVID reared its ugly head again this week, right?
Yes, it did.
And so it's still
still a thing.
It's still
a thing. You know what I mean? So let's look at the recaps of week from week number 6, and I think there were a lot of big wins, 2 overtime games, head scratching, and then
All right,
whatever.
All right, let's go. It's the roundup. All right, like Sammy said on the outset, a lot of head scratchers, some impressive wins. The big boys are the big boys, and somebody finally got off the schneid that we were expecting to do so, and we're going to talk about it. All right, so let's get into it. Farmington, 33-6 over Royal Oak. Jacob Sanders, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns for Farmington.
Good first win for Coach Jason Albright in this team.
Absolutely. Bloomfield Hills, 31-14 over Troy Athens. Boy, I was wrong on that pick. C.J. Jackson, 2 passing touchdowns for Bloomfield Hills. Trey Vincent, 112 yards and a TD for Troy Athens. Harper Woods gets a forfeit because Hamtramck had the big C. They did not play. And Harper Woods could not dig up another opponent for that week. We talked about this last week, Sam.
Yep, we did.
Again, Pontiac out of commission due to COVID. Troy gets the forfeit.
It should be back this week.
I'm hoping, because that's 2 weeks off. And with the new rules, it's usually just those having symptoms or testing positive are 10 days. The rest of the team, if you have the vaccine and you're no symptoms, you can play.
Play, yes.
But again, their numbers are down, so that's where we run into those issues. All right, Berkeley, big over Avondale, 34-19.
I mean, like, they had a nice game for their running back last week. He had 125 yards and a touchdown.
All right, Walled Lake Western, 47-6 over Ferndale. We kind of called that one. Ferndale led 6-0 at one point, but Walled Lake Western comes storming back.
What would you expect? I mean, like, with in that game, what would you expect? Walled Lake Western, coming off a bad loss to Milford prior to, and then look what they did to Ferndale.
Yeah, they unloaded on Ferndale,
yes,
that's
they
for
did.
sure. All right, Oak Park, 20-6 over Seaholm. Did we think Seaholm had a little more in the tank?
I think, they fought, you know what I mean? They've been in a lot of good close games. I mean, like, but Oak Park has been a real mystery team to keep an eye on.
It is. All right, Rochester 32-22 over Groves. Stavons Panos had 2 rushing touchdowns for BG. And Alex Bueno, 2 rushing touchdowns for Rochester. Rochester continues.
Big Blue starting to get its act together.
Absolutely.
The only issue they have is their city rivals.
Yes. And we picked that one. But it's an impressive win
in Beverly Hills
for Rochester on the road. Exactly. Adams 28-21 over North in overtime. A classic, true classic if there ever was one. Parker Pico, 2 rushing touchdowns. Adams had blocked 2 field goals. And Jasper Beeler, 3 rushing touchdowns for North Farmington.
He went 50, 65, and I think he had another 25-yarder.
Wow. Adams continues to roll. Oxford 49, 42 over A&T. A&T trailed 35-14 at the half. The Oxford offense continues to put up numbers, but they finally got their W.
Brady Carpenter, Trent Muir, Mitchell Viviano. I mean, like, legit players. Oxford's been playing much better the last 4 weeks.
Yes.
Much better.
Would you say they're one of the best teams with only one win in the red?
Yes, and
or maybe even in the OAA.
And maybe in the entire OAA. Look at the schedule they played. You know what I mean? There's a reason why I have Oxford at 8 this week in the rankings.
Alrighty. Lake Orion surprises Stony Creek 24-7 at home. Raymond Payne's 78-yard touchdown run. Billy Robertson, 56-yard touchdown. Jack Wellman had a 10-yard rushing TD for LO. Jacob Best passing touchdown for Stony Creek.
Orion played much better in that game.
Defense, the last 2 weeks have shown up.
They've shown up. They play. I mean, even in that West Bloomfield game, you know what I mean? You kind of want to give them a pass, though, in that game. But they played much better last
But they're showing they are starting to click.
They're starting to click, which is a good sign.
All right, another thriller, another classic between these two top programs in the OAA area. West Bloomfield takes down Clarkston 34-27 in overtime. Raekwon Nance rushing and passing. He had a rushing and a passing touchdown. DeAndre Hill had a receiving touchdown. Dylan Tatum, game-winning interception and the winning TD run for West Bloomfield from the Wildcat position, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mike DePillo with 3 passing TDs. Ethan Clark, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving for Clarkston. So both teams, haymakers thrown in this game, back and forth, 2 heavyweights. But West Bloomfield, I won't say survives, but triumphs over Clarkston.
That was a great game in the swamp. Great game.
Unbelievable. I would recommend digging that one up. I'm pretty sure, I know that one was recorded.
I know State Champs was there. I know that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So, yeah.
And they were also at Adams and North as well. So
anytime these two teams get together, you know it's going to be good.
Yes.
So hunt it down if you wanted to see a true classic out there against the Lakers and the Wolves. That's it for the OA Roundup. I mean, interesting stuff, Sammy.
Very interesting week, obviously. I'm gonna go. Let's go from.
So, what are the topics? What are we talking about today?
We gotta talk. Obviously,
you have a beef.
I have a beef. I mean, like,
and not a burger.
Yep, not a burger.
Or a kebab.
I want to go positive first.
Okay, great. I love the positive.
Probably my positive of the week has to be Rochester.
Oh yes.
I mean, Eric Vernon's done a wonderful job with that team. I mean, he has done a complete. That Rochester program last year in the blue, they took advantage. I mean, like, I know the schedule that they were given.
Mm-hmm.
Went undefeated, but ran into Adams.
Yes, in the playoffs.
This year, I thought, okay, moving to the white. They're doing more than hold their own,
mm-hmm.
and they sit second place in the white behind Adams. So when I look at what Rochester's done, obviously when you have the quarterback, like they do with Alex Plano, and you have a player like Connor Cragnon, who's had a really nice year with Rochester. They have a defense. They have an offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's clicking at the right time for Coach Eric Vernon's team.
It is.
They picked up some big wins against North. They knocked off Groves, 2 very impressive teams. I mean, there's a lot to love about the Rochester Falcons. There's a lot to love.
Absolutely. And not only taking down Groves, but on the road.
Yeah.
Right? It's so hard to win on the road in this league.
It is.
You know, we see teams like Lake Orion struggling. West Bloomfield came in.
Mm-hmm.
They struggle a little bit. It wasn't a walk in the park. You know, anytime you go on the road in the OAA, it's a tough W.
Mm-hmm.
And that just shows the mental toughness of these guys for Rochester. Can go on the road, but they're also showing that the depth of this team is real. Last year was not a fluke.
Yeah.
And they are building something over there in Rochester. That's a lot of fun to watch.
They've got experience. They've got program strength. I mean, their sub-varsity levels are not bad.
Mm-hmm.
You look at what they've done. I mean, they got talent. They've got some talent. The only knack I have on Rochester is obviously the city.
Yes.
Because let's not forget, I mean, they lost twice to Adams, if you count the last.
Well, that's
season
last year, and
lost
it's a
one.
COVID year. Let's just kind of let's look at now.
And then but they lost to Rochester Adams. They were blown out at Adams.
They did.
And then they lost that heartbreaker to Stony Creek on the Falcon Frenzy game. So when you look at Rochester, this is a team that I really like going forward. They do pretty well outside the city of Rochester.
Yes.
When they're in the city of Rochester, it's like, I think the problem is, to be honest with you, I think everybody knows each other.
Yeah, well,
it's true.
But you should.
You should.
Right? And one thing, yes, we're focusing on Rochester, the Falcons. But look at the football being played in that city.
Yeah.
Three major high schools.
Yeah, Armor up to the east. You got Mighty Veer to the west, and then you have Big Blue in the middle.
Yes. And the quality of football being played by all three schools is it is something that is, I'm going to say rare, but you don't see it every day. I'll just say that, right? When you have these school districts that have multiple, large high schools. Yeah, Waterford has a double dose, right? Troy, those guys. But the football out of Rochester right now is some of the best we've seen in a long time.
And it is. I mean, you look at Adams. Adams, we know they're legit with the beer. I mean, Parker Pico has really appeased my expectations. You look at what Stony Creek's doing, Nick Merlot there. I mean, Cam Folger's a heck of a running back. And then you look at Rochester, of course. You're right. I mean,
think the quality of players. Imagine. Not that we want to do it. You look at the Farmington teams, right?
Yeah, Farmington, North Farmington.
You used to have three.
Right.
You condensed them down. Now you got North
and Farmington.
Kind of the power, or the one that's kind of coming out ahead over Farmington. What if you condense those teams? Can you imagine the team if you had the positive all three of those squads together as one team?
That would be scary.
It would be ridiculously scary.
That would be ridiculously scary. But the question is going to be,
right.
If you did that.
That would be awesome.
If you did that, whose style would win out?
Ooh.
That's another good question.
That's a very good question, because they are distinct.
Right. Because, you look at...
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah,
I love the coaches over there.
You look at what Adams runs, the Veer. You look at what Rochester runs, more of a spread.
Yep.
You look at what Stony Creek runs, full house backfield.
Yes.
Those are three different styles.
Completely.
And they're winning football right now.
All three are successful.
Even though Stony Creek's is at 3-3, a deceptive 3-3.
It is.
You know what I mean? But
it is. It really is.
But they're playing Life in the Red, and Life in the Red's very brutal. I mean, Adams and Rochester both in the white, and they're holding their
they're doing what they should be doing.
Yes, they're doing what they should be doing.
Yeah.
So you kind of want to give Stony Creek a pass here. You know what I mean?
A little.
I give them a pass.
I would say yes.
I give them a pass. You know what I mean?
I would say yes, but looking at the Lake Orion game, did they drop one? Or did Lake Orion click? Right? I mean, if we're talking Rochester football, the city of Rochester, the football, I think this is a lot of fun. I dig this topic.
Yeah.
Do you think Stony, if you're looking at these teams, did Stony drop one at Lake Orion? Or do you think that this is just welcome to the Red, this is what you get?
I think
even though you run into a struggling team in Lake Orion, you got to watch out.
They beat A&T.
Yes.
21-14. Okay? And then they had that Lake Orion game. That's Life in the Red for you. Stony Creek has done more than prove that they belong in the red.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the city of Rochester. Would they all do well in the red, all three of them? You bet they would. Because I have a lot of confidence in these three programs. I think that the city of Rochester would do more than capable to being in the red.
Yeah.
And I think that, especially when you look at the year that Adams is having, I think Rochester could hold their own in the red. And then you look at Stony Creek, and, Stony Creek, they're experiencing what life is in the red is. They're experiencing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and they knew what they know what they were, you move up to the red, all of the coaches, everybody knows what you're getting into.
Their three losses are the three legit programs.
Yes.
I mean, West Bloomfield, Clarkson, Lake Orion.
Established
legit
red
programs.
Yeah.
So I think Stony Creek's fine. I'm not pressing the panic button on them.
Yeah.
Nick Merlo's built the armor up culture there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is not a one-trick pony. They are not a one-trick pony.
No.
They're a very long, stable program.
Yes. And Rochester the Falcons are looking to be the same.
That they are. And we know what Adams is. So when I look at the city of Rochester, enjoy beautiful football. Because
Absolutely.
all three teams right now are playing beautiful football right now. And that's a praise. They're all playing beautiful football.
They are. It's entertaining.
Yep.
The fan base, the students, all that stuff should be having a blast.
The Cougar Corps, the Soldiers of Fortune, and the Gold Rush. Enjoy this.
Yeah.
That's what I say to them. Enjoy this.
And you know they are. You know this is and as far as timing goes, it couldn't be better, right?
Mm-hmm.
After what we dealt with last year and are we playing or not? Now it's like everybody's back, you're playing. And it's just awesome. It gives a great atmosphere, right? Friday nights in Rochester, rocking and rolling.
Whether you're at Livernois and Walton, or Adams and Tinkin, or Tinkin and Shelton.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It's good. It's awesome.
It is.
It's great stuff to see.
It is great stuff to see. I mean, Adams, now I want to go to.
Well, before we move on to that, let's just look ahead. I mean, so Rochester takes down Groves on the road.
Right.
What is their next challenge?
Oak Park. Big game for them.
And before we went on the air, we said this is
a trap game for them.
Trap game, or that is the springboard.
Slingboard. You know what I mean? This is a huge game for Rochester. I mean, they got a very good opportunity ahead of them. I know that they close out the year. I mean, I haven't looked at the rest of their schedule yet, but I'm looking at this Rochester team, and this is a trap game for them going against Oak Park. Real trap game. And then they got Oxford the following week, which...
Oxford's on the rise.
They got Stony this week. We'll talk that game.
That'll be an interesting one.
That will be a good one. I think
on the road?
That is at the Cougar Corps. It's at the Cougar Corps. And when you look at that matchup with Oxford, you know what I mean? That could be a potential low-scoring defensive affair because, Stony Creek's a team that doesn't want to score a lot of points.
No.
They want to play time possession, slow it down, in-your-face football. Let's not forget, Stony Creek had the football for about 11 minutes and 40 seconds of the first quarter against Lake Orion. That describes what Stony Creek wants to do.
And that is, yes, if Oxford can hang on to the ball, then they'll be okay.
Yes.
If there's 3 and outs, anybody who plays Stony, if you get 3 and outs, you could be in trouble.
Yes. And then when you and then when you play Adams, fear the bear. Because you know what you're going to get from Parker Pico.
Yeah.
Griffin Hankey's been playing very well. They have an emerging...
And those players are running that system. Running it very well.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, moving Pico from wide receiver to quarterback has paid dividends for this team. I mean, you look at the talent that Adams has, and you look at that team, and you're saying, okay, your line has to be very good to run this offense. But what Adams has to go along with their veer offense is a deep threat. Brady Prescorn has been really outstanding for this team. I mean, you look at this kid, basketball standout, playing wide receiver for you, and all he's done, he's been efficient.
Yes.
He's been very efficient. You know?
Yeah.
Now, I know the Prescorn family very well. Great people, by the way. But Brady Prescorn deserves a lot of praise from me. He deserves a lot of praise. I mean, besides Pico, besides that whole Adams team, the X factor this year for Adams was Brady Prescorn. And he has been more than productive.
Yeah.
He has been efficient, and he's only a sophomore.
Yeah, that's a scary bit.
He's only a sophomore.
I go, for Adams, that's great. For the rest,
of the league,
right? And to have talent like that, or the versatility you can have, running your offense, throwing something like in there, like you said, now you have a deep threat. Oh my.
Yeah.
Right? We're used to having those household names with West Bloomfield and Clarkston or whatever, right?
Yep.
So it's nice to have these names that.
Well, Adams is a household name.
It is a household name, but on the state level, it's usually West Bloomfield, Clarkston, right? So now
Adams is a two state champions. They
when
won a
though?
State title.
When?
2002.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm saying current. They got a guy. They have a system. They have a program that should be watched and should be, okay. If you're going to meet these guys in the playoffs, watch out.
Watch out. Good luck with the veer.
Right? But it's good to see another team in the red, or in the OAA, that has those names that we are going to see for a number of years, and people are going to start knowing who they are.
Yes.
I love that. I think it's great.
And it's not just Adams. It's all three Rochester.
Yeah, that's true.
It's all three of them. Let's talk about North Farmington a little bit.
Yeah, they came out in gangbusters, right? Started the season.
They had that. They blew out Farmington. Had that shocker against Lake Orion.
Mm-hmm.
Blew out Groves, and then
what?
They haven't been the same team since the Oak Park game, where they were up 17-0 in that game. They've lost three straight games.
Yeah.
When I look at North Farmington's schedule the rest of the way, they could be in some trouble because the next 2 weeks they have West Bloomfield. I think it's West Bloomfield, and then they have Traverse City Central.
Wow, Traverse City Central, that is a bulldozer of a team.
I mean, we were talking maybe this team. They might not be a playoff team.
I know, which I can't believe.
Which is hard to believe, especially with the type of talent and coaching staff that they have over there on Farmington Road and 13 Mile. I mean, what can you say?
But you see teams like this every year. It's like everything says success, right?
Everything did.
And they were one of those teams. You're like, yep, this is. I want to say a no-brainer, but it felt like, okay, if I was going to put any type of guess on a season, I would not have guessed what's happening over there right now.
The fact of the matter is they're
surprising.
Struggling. You know what I mean? Now, this team should easily be, 6-0 right now. Despite that, because those 3 games they lost, they were all winnable games. I mean, Jasper Beeler's playing pretty well right now.
Yeah.
I want to know where's Aaron Rice been? Where's Ryan Shelby been? I think Ryan Shelby's doing everything he can, but where the heck is Aaron Rice at? I mean, the last few games, everything, the offense has flown around Jasper Beeler.
Do you think the rest of the teams in the league have sorted them out? They figured out the offense?
I think they figured it well.
Or is it execution? It's one of these. Adams. North is no slouch. They took Adams to overtime.
They took Adams to overtime. I think it's X's and O's when you look at North. You know what I mean? Because, sometimes, the execution, you know what I mean? They're right there. They're right there. I mean, this could be a 6-0 football team right now. But now you're sitting at 3-3. You should win this week, but then you got to look at, obviously, West Bloomfield and then Traverse City Central.
Yeah.
That's frightening. Those 2 games?
Completely frightening.
Completely frightening. Because Traverse City Central, you seen them last year.
I saw them this year.
And North saw them last year, and Josh Burnham's still on that team.
Yes.
That could be
That's a good
trouble.
Football team.
But let's say North Farmington were hypothetically to finish 5-4, they're in the playoffs.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely.
Because,
and this is a perfect example of the point system in action. Their schedule is difficult, right?
Very difficult.
Yeah, they lost some, but they're all 2 quality opponents,
right?
And, this is a perfect example of what this system can
do.
If you didn't in the old one, you had to have X amount of wins.
X amount of wins.
Right now, it's these
now
points.
You got to rely on strength of schedule.
And you can say, hey, we're gonna even though if we get shellacked by Traverse City Central, you're still getting a handful of points because they are so good.
They're so good, yes.
And Clarkston as well, for that matter.
I mean, when you look at that, but for North Farmington,
they have to get to 5.
They have to get the 5.
And where's their 5? They're 3-3. Did you say?
They're 3-3.
Where's their 2?
You gotta beat somebody. You gotta beat somebody.
And what's the best case scenario for them? It's a must win next week or this week. I should say.
They have
week
to win
7.
this week. Yes, and then you gotta get either West Bloomfield or Traverse City Central. Now the good news for John Herstein and his team is that North Farmington game, that Traverse City Central game, is at home.
Yes.
That's the good news. So you don't have to go back to Derby Field to play.
No, I don't think they want to do that anytime soon.
But I know it was a beautiful experience until the final 15 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
But the concerns here for North Farmington, obviously, the depth is a big concern for them. I mean, program strength is a big concern, obviously. Yeah. I mean, they have the coaching.
Oh, yeah.
They have the athletes. But it comes down to depth and quality.
And depth is, we've been hearing about that for the last 5-6 years, Sammy, right?
Yes.
From these coaches at Media Day.
Yep.
Depth. Some of the big schools, they have plenty.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some schools that are
the
smaller ones having a hard time. And we saw Berkeley and some others, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's these coaches, when you start, like you said, when you start winning, and good things happen, the kids usually show up. Right?
When you don't, that's when you have some trouble.
Yeah, and all the coaches, the state of football, high school football in this day and age, there's other distractions, there's other things to do. We've talked about it ad nauseum, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we start seeing participation numbers going down at the large schools,
that's never good.
No, that's when you start worrying. But so far, so good. I mean, things are happening. People are coming out. They're playing.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to North, do they have 2 more in them?
I think they do. It's just the question is, where are you going to find it?
There's 3 games left.
They're going to get 1. So technically, it's 1 or 2 they got to win.
So you're guaranteeing them winning this week. And their opponent is whom?
Seahome.
Okay.
It's Seahome. You know what I mean? They should win that game.
Should win that game.
They should win. And then you got to beat either West Bloomfield or Traverse City Central.
Yeah. West Bloomfield at home or on the road?
I think that's in the swamp.
No easy place to play.
No, it's not. and then you look at West Bloomfield Clarkson. That was a heck of a game between those 2 teams.
Wouldn't expect anything different. I mean, we saw the superstars came out.
Then you got to hear Mike Stone.
And really did it. Yeah,
Mike Stone saying, Mike Stone on the public address announcer.
Stoney, yep. He does a good job over there.
Very good job over there.
But what a classic game. I mean, that's what you want to see. You want games like that. That's what the fans want. Coaches probably don't want overtime on the road.
Well, yeah. But
what a game.
What a game. I mean, Clarkson played. I'll give both teams a lot of credit. You know what I mean?
Yes, you have to.
When I did the rankings this week, obviously, I just flipped them in the rankings because I had them at 2 and 3.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I just flipped them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how good both these teams are. You know what I mean? They're both legit teams, really good teams.
Do we see West Bloomfield though? Do you see some cracks?
I do.
And I know they took down Clarkston in OT. I mean, it had a superstar making a play to seal the win.
Well, they needed superstars against Lake Orion. I mean, they needed Samaj Morgan and Dylan Tatum against Lake Orion
to
win that game. I mean, they almost...
And that was a 28-21.
Yes. And then they had to survive Oxford. You know what I mean? That one, 41-31. I mean, there is some kinks in that armor. I don't think the Lakers' defense is as good as previously thought.
Yeah.
I mean, in the fact you have to rely on your superstars to win games, that's a big concern, especially heading into the postseason.
Yeah.
So if you're West Bloomfield, I got more concerns with West Bloomfield than I do Clarkston.
I do too.
Because Clarkston's got more different ways to win games. I mean, obviously.
And we've seen them win against different styles.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. But West Bloomfield's done the same thing, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Raekwon Nance can give you a big play when he needs to. Raekwon Nance, let's not forget, this kid.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Uh-huh. Let's not forget, Raekwon Nance. Remember last year when he was in JV as a freshman, I was giving you so much praise and love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not changed.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Raekwon Nance is the real deal. I even wrote my tweets a couple weeks ago. I was very appreciative of Amir Herring. And I got to figure out who the other one was. But they were first class. You know what I mean? First class kids.
Yeah.
Everybody at West Bloomfield there, first class kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's the positive. You know what I mean? That team, they're a good team. You know what I mean? But what I like about them, they don't showboat. You know what I mean? They don't showboat. They're very classy people.
Yeah.
Very classy.
Well,
even the parents over there.
Well,
very classy people.
The one thing, they know how to win.
Yes, they do.
Right? And they also know how to lose. Right?
Unfortunately.
That program is, if they drop one, right, they know how, they are respectful. It is, it shows a maturity in a program. And
I give that
in the
credit.
kids and all that stuff to the coaching staff to say, you win the right way, you lose the right way.
I give that credit to Coach Grice, even Coach Bellamy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Right?
His roots are strong in this program and will be for years.
Yes.
Right?
They need to have a statue at West Bloomfield devoted to Ron Bellamy.
I don't know if they do that sort of thing, do
they? They need to. He led to a state title.
Well, if they have a Ring of Honor or a
They do.
Do they?
I know they do.
I could see him being up there, obviously,
He'll be up there,
but
obviously.
It's one of those, they know how to win.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to conduct themselves. And they've won so much over the years.
Yes.
Right? That they conduct themselves like a championship program.
And they are a championship program.
Yes.
I look at the teams in the red, you know what I mean? Even Stony Creek, I view them championship programs, you know what I mean? Everybody in the red, bulk of the white, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But, it is what it is.
It is. So, for me, just to wrap this up, if we're moving on to the next topic, Clarkston, I feel, is, though they dropped this one in OT,
they're fine.
They're perfectly fine.
They're fine. They have a quarterback in Mike DePillo. They have Ethan Clark. Your receivers have really impressed me. Your defense is still very suspect, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But I think if you're Clarkston, you're fine.
Yes.
I'm not pressing the panic button. Let's go to the blue. Obviously, when you look at it, Bloomfield Hills. This is I wrote a column on this team.
Yes, you did.
The fact that
do you want to set it up, so people know what's going on? If they haven't read your article, this is the beef.
This is. I compare the Bloomfield Hills Blackhawks to 2007 Kansas Jayhawks. Team that went undefeated. Schedule wasn't as strong as people thought, but they had a really good season. They have a good quarterback. Their receivers are solid. But when you look at obviously,
and they're 6-0.
They're 6-0. They beat Troy Athens, who's a really good team.
Yes.
Now, what I didn't like was their shenanigans after the game. When one thing you'd never want to do is put a flag on an opponent's field.
Which happened. There's video of it.
There's video of it.
Yes.
And I get a lot of hate mail from them. I got a lot of hate mail.
Because of your comment on the flag, or because
the flag
of something
and then
else?
the rankings.
Yeah.
Obviously, of course, when you look at my rankings this week, Bloomfield Hills, I had them at 10 right now. And I have a school like Berkeley at 4 right now, despite the fact that Bloomfield Hills
is undefeated.
It's undefeated, and they beat Berkeley.
We've seen rankings like that all the time.
All the time. You know what I mean? We've seen rankings like it all the time.
It's happening now in college football.
Yes, it happens in college football. You know what I mean? Where you think you know it. You think you're all that. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden, when the rankings come out, like the college football playoff comes out, look at Ohio State 2014. You know, they had a really tough loss. They were 13th in the rankings.
Yep.
You look at it.
Yeah,
you look at Michigan State in 2015, undefeated. Even though they were at number 2, went down to number 7.
Yeah.
So when you look at Bloomfield Hills, obviously when you look at this team, this is a Division I team that's playing in the 3rd division.
Yes.
Same thing with Troy and Troy Athens.
But why is that? It's no fault of their own,
no fault
right?
of their own. You know, they're given the teams they're supposed to be given.
Yeah, in the schedule, and they're moved into the division because they were getting shellacked in the other.
And the other, you know what I mean? So now picture this.
So here's the question. You mentioned that you were getting some heat for your rankings and the comments about the flag and all that. You're not ranking them based on their actions post game.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear that it's not like, oh man, this Bush League put the flag in there, and we're not blaming the team for putting the flag in the field. It was some student ran up and put it in there.
I mean, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I understand your first 2 games you knocked off Berkeley. Of course, Berkeley's a Division II team.
Yes.
You're a Division I team.
And what was the score of that one you got?
13-10.
Close.
You're supposed to knock them off. You know, you're supposed to. Division I's supposed to knock off a D2. And then you look at Waterford Kettering. I mean, Kettering is near the bottom of the Lakes Valley this year. Yeah. They're a young team with Coach Bob Chiazza. They were up. They trailed 21-0 in that game. Had to come back and win that game. That's a concern for me right there.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, you've handled your business. And you look at a team like Berkeley, who knocked off a Division I opponent in Troy Athens, you know, okay.
So did Bloomfield Hills.
Bloomfield Hills is Division I.
So you're going
Division I knocking out
Division I. I got you.
There you go. So basically, that's how I'm looking at you. And then you look at, obviously, in the postseason. Because you're going to likely be in the postseason.
If Bloomfield Hills and Berkeley met up again, who would win?
I think
right now, this time, the way they're playing.
This time, in my opinion,
Berkeley would win.
I would pick Berkeley because of. I just think
there's something going on over there.
Yeah, there's something magical going on over there. But if you put Bloomfield Hills in the red division or in the white division, they would have problems. They would have some issues.
But that's not their pick.
They
didn't go, hey, guess what, guys? Put us down here in the blue. You know, they were put there.
They were put there. But when you're looking at
or did you say they earned their way to the blue?
You look at the possibility of them having to see a West Bloomfield, a Clarkston, or a Novi Detroit Catholic Central in the first round. They have played a more tougher schedule than you. They have played a more tougher schedule than you.
Yeah.
So you know how this is going to end. Not real well. I mean, you look at Rochester last year. Undefeated. Look what happened to them against Adams.
Yep.
Bloomfield Hills, I can see the same thing happening to them. Troy, on the other hand.
And Bloomfield Hills, sorry to interrupt you, what's the remaining schedule looking like?
Bloomfield Hills has to play. They got Ferndale this week. They should win that.
Yes.
Then they have Royal Oak this week. They should win that.
Yes.
And then they have Troy to close out the year.
And there's a good chance they could
There's a good chance they could be undefeated. But then when you go into the postseason and you see like maybe a Novi Detroit Catholic Central coming down there.
But you can't. And we did this before. I think we were doing it last year with Rochester too. You're like, well, who they play? It's good. It's awesome. It's a great story. This is a good story.
It's a good story.
They're beating people. They're beating the people that are set before them.
It's a good story, but who have you beat? Who have you played?
So I've noticed a pattern here, Sammy. A lot of the times you determine the quality of a season based on their last game. So if you get in the playoffs and you get smoked, are you wiping out the success they had? I mean, you can't deny Rochester had a good season last year. It was a great story. It was awesome, but they got wiped out.
Yeah.
So, it's like
for me,
a team is 6-0 to no fault of their own. right?
It's no fault to the
Oh, sorry. They don't have to apologize for being 6-0.
They don't have to apologize for being 6-0.
It almost seems like you want one.
If you
nice little sorry card and put it in the mail.
If they played, like, Bloomfield Hills, in my opinion, should be a white team.
Okay.
I mean, they should be a white team. I mean, I'm sorry. I think they would hold more of their own if they were in the white. Now, would I think would it be 6-0 in the white? No. Because I definitely wouldn't be 6-0 in the red. So when you really look at Bloomfield Hills.
But aren't there other teams that run into that situation? Go, well, Adams, if it was in the red, would they be doing what they're doing?
I think Adams would hold more of their own in the red, to be honest with you. I really do. I mean, I think Adams is a different animal compared to Bloomfield Hills. Rochester's a complete different animal than Bloomfield Hills.
You don't think
North Farmington
Bloomfield Hills isn't the Rochester of this year?
No.
Or of last year?
No. I mean.
Really?
I think Troy fits that bill more.
Okay.
Because of who they got. Now
I don't like Troy getting not getting an opponent for last week.
No, I did not either.
So, at the top of the show, we talked about it. Pontiac had to bow out again due to COVID, so
yep.
Troy did not play another game.
Yeah, now they get the rivalry with Athens this week, and we know where that's going.
We talked about this for the last couple of weeks. I don't understand how teams will not play each other. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a game because it's canceled, it
hurts the kids.
Yes, and it's not like Troy going, oh, we don't want to play. They want to play. You got to keep that what'd you say, steel sharpens steel. You have to keep your edge, and having a week off like that can sometimes dull you up a little.
It does.
And for teams to go, nah, we're not playing you. I don't get it.
I don't either.
There were so many times last year where there are no sports for anyone.
Right.
You're not going to play.
Right.
Done. Shut it down. And people lost their collective minds, marching on this Capitol, screaming to the top of the,
to let them play.
Just to play, right? There's a whole movement.
Yes.
Let them play movement, right? And then they got to play, and now you go, no, sorry, we're not going to play. I don't get it.
I don't either.
It could be taken away tomorrow. Play.
Right. Play.
Just like all the other athletes and all the other. I had a discussion with my son, not to get personal, but he was running a race, and he just didn't feel good. I go, you know what? Did you do your best? He's like, I could have done a little bit better. I go, you might not get another chance.
Right.
So you have to take the opportunity that's set before you to do the best you can at all times because it can be taken away in an instant. We saw that last.
I agree with you there.
Play the games.
Play the games. Yep.
Man. Oh, why does that get me hot? I don't know.
We ready to do picks this week?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
All right. We got some unique games this week, obviously.
Got to shake that one off, Sammy.
I know you do. How do you like this for we get to see Harper Woods back in play this week. Big one with Allen Park looming.
Ooh.
This one, the Jags very well. Allen Park comes in 5-1, averaging over 30 a game.
Tough program.
Tough matchup for Harper Woods coming off a week off.
Yeah.
This one's interesting because Harper Woods has been proving people wrong. I mean, I know Coach Rob Oldham really well. He's done a wonderful job with that program down there in Harper Woods. Taking on a Allen Park team established, and you know what? It's their first meeting ever.
Really?
And they're really close to each other in Wayne County. So this is really interesting.
On the road or at home?
It is at Harper Woods.
Give me Harper Woods.
You go on Pioneers. I'm going to take the Pioneers as well.
Yeah.
A big game there for Harper Woods, obviously.
Those guys at Harper Woods are it's a tough out, man. And I think they take it at home.
Mm-hmm. Bloomfield Hills and Ferndale. This is a
we
game
just
we
talked about
this game, obviously. Ferndale, I just don't see them have much of a chance against Bloomfield Hills.
Ferndale's is having a hard time scoring.
They're having a hard time scoring. They're having difficulties in stopping people.
I say Bloomfield.
Yeah, Bloomfield Hills, big. I mean, they're going to be ringing that bell over there, Bloomfield Hills. I expect them to this week. This one's going to be interesting. Berkeley at Livonia Clarenceville.
Ooh.
Clarenceville 6-0 this year. Put over 35 a game the last few weeks. I mean, 35 points a game.
See, and this is the flip-flop, right? This
Yeah.
is your argument put to the test,
Yep.
right? Bloomfield Hills has played whom?
Mm-hmm.
Berkeley has played whom?
Berkeley's played whom? They're going to play somebody this
Tough
week.
team. I'm liking Berkeley, but I think it's going to be in a squeaker.
This is going to be tight.
3 points.
This is going to be a shootout.
You think so?
This is going to be a complete shootout. If Livonia Clarenceville wins this game, this is the biggest win of their. This is the biggest
Of Clarenceville.
at Livonia Clarenceville.
Really?
If Berkeley wins this game, it tells you the direction that Coach Sean Shields' team is going. I like Berkeley in this game.
I'm saying it's. If you're going to say shootout, I say it's going to be 3 points.
I think it's going to be 48-45.
Okay.
That's how.
So 3
close.
points. We're kind
3
of.
points.
I don't know if it's going to be that many points, but I would say it's a 3-point.
Both teams can score in bunches. Both teams can score in bunches. So this would be really interesting.
All right.
Pontiac and Farmington.
I'm just hoping Pontiac gets to play.
And if they get to play, it is at the new stadium.
Oh, finally.
It is at the new stadium.
Is that homecoming for them then?
It's homecoming for them.
All right.
They should be after the 10 days, Cause they
yeah. They should be back, and I'm excited for Pontiac in the stadium, but I don't think they get the W on homecoming.
Farmington's been playing. They put 33 up last week against
Royal
Oak, and
Pontiac's been off for 2 weeks.
Yeah, Pontiac's been off for 2 weeks. I think Russ gets to him. Unfortunately, I gotta go Farmington. Jacob Sanders is starting to get hot.
We can talk about that super athlete they got at Pontiac, though.
Ooh, yeah.
He's someone that he's exciting.
Oh yeah, I think it's D'Angelo Hall, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ooh, so
yeah.
we're gonna keep an eye on him for that game, but I do believe Farmington takes it.
Yes, I do too. Avondale and Royal Oak. This is at Royal Oak. I don't know if Jake Herzog's back in that game. I don't know if he's back.
I thought he was back last week.
I don't know if he is. But I don't know if Avondale's got an answer for Mekhi Jenkins and Hudson Seidel. I don't know if they have an answer for them. I'm going to take the Fighting Ray McMahon. So I'm going to take Royal Oak in this game.
I'm going to give Avondale a try this week.
You're going to give Avondale a try?
I'm going to give him a try.
I gave Royal Oak a try last week. I was really disappointed.
Yes, you did. I think I'm going to give Avondale a try. They're starting to put some numbers up, right? They're starting to find a little O.
Yes.
So can they find a little D? We'll have to find out.
That's a big question.
Yep.
And then we had the Battle of Troy. Troy versus Troy Athens. We talked about the history.
Oh, yeah.
104 to nothing the last 3 years.
Crazy.
And we've talked to Billy Keenis about this game. We know how Troy's treating this game. This is a big game for both this community.
Yeah.
This is a big, big game. 6-0 versus 4-2. You look at them. This is a different Troy team. You know what I mean?
It is.
Does Troy leave? And you see Troy call Troy Athens that school down the road.
Yes. It's a great rivalry.
Yes, it is.
It is healthy.
Yes, it is.
It is, we'll call it clean, right?
Yeah,
it's clean.
Clean, you know what I mean? Clean.
But it's a ton of fun. It's a truckload of fun. So, you know how I feel about the Colts.
Yes.
And so I'm going to stick with them. I'm concerned about them having the previous week off, though, right? We talked about that. But I think the Colts prevail.
I think the Colts get their first loss this week.
Ooh.
Because of this reason. Yeah, you're right. They haven't played in a week. Athens has had their number. I know they had Trey Vincent. They have Evan Bieber at quarterback. I know Troy's got Max Strohnberg at quarterback, Darius Whiteside, and both Block brothers. This one here, I think the week off hurts Troy. I just think that the week off, the fact they didn't play last week, they're going to be rusty. Athens is coming off a really tough loss to Bloomfield Hills.
I think the rust will be there. I agree with you. And I think it's going to take them a quarter to get it back. If they can hang on for that quarter, let's say quarter and a half.
Maybe quarter and a half.
They can hang on. They keep it tight or neutral. I think they get back in the swing of things.
I think Athens will get on them early, and I think it's going to be, and I think I'm looking at maybe a 31-28 game. And I think Troy picks it up late, but I just think they don't have enough. And
Okay.
I'm gonna take Athens. You know what I mean? In this one over Troy. Let's go to the white. Seaholm, North Farmington. You gonna give
North Farmington is desperate.
Yes, especially with the 2 games they have coming up.
Completely desperate. Must win
for North.
Yes.
This is
and I think they do it.
I think they're gonna wear brown. I think they're gonna wear the brown uniforms, and they're gonna get a W.
Get the W.
Adams and Groves. This one's interesting.
Yeah.
It's Adams. Groves has been reeling a little bit. They have a good running back in Stavanos Penels, and then they have a very good player in Jaden Magnum. Adams is Adams. We talked
about him.
We talked about him. I think the difference in this game is Parker Picot and the Adams offensive line going to show their will in front of the Gold Rush, and it's going to be an Adams blowout, and they're going to be, and I wish we had that guy who does the bagpipes. That would be so awesome. I'm serious.
I have to find that sound file with the bagpipes.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, if Adams, I know Adams watches us. I know that. Please bring that guy on the podcast room, please. I mean, he'd be a good addition.
That's so funny.
Would be. I'm taking Adams, though.
Yeah, I'm taking Adams as well. Until they prove otherwise. It's almost to the point where it's like my thought on West Bloomfield or Clarkson or whatever. It's like until you prove me wrong that they are not what they are, then I'll pick them every week.
Mm-hmm.
Adams.
Yep. And then probably this is the best game of the white this week. Oak Park at Rochester. I mean, this has got trap game written all over it for Big Blue.
Well, I don't know about trap game, but I would call it maybe program defining.
Program defining?
Don't you think?
Yeah, it's got program defining.
If they knock off Oak Park, I think they solidify themselves as, yes, this program is here.
They're back.
We are solid. We got it. And everybody else take notice.
I've gotten a lot of people picking Oak Park already to win this game.
I know.
I'm not one of them.
Ooh.
I think the difference in this game is Alex Bueno. Bueno has played lights out for Rochester. And you have
on the road or away?
It's at Rochester Stadium. I think the difference in this game is going to be Rochester's offensive line. I think their offensive line, their defensive line is going to be a difference in this one. Oak Park's game plan is going to be try to take the soldiers of fortune away. That's what they're going to try to do. But I think Rochester is better up front, and I think they're going to get the job done, knock off Oak Park.
And we've seen Oak Park on the road sometimes have difficulties,
yes.
Right?
Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
I
know they had that win against They had that win against North Farmington at home. They were tough with Adams.
Yeah.
But being on the road, being at home, much different animal.
Completely
Different animal.
I am going to say Rochester by 1.
Ooh.
And it's going to be late.
You think they're going to score late?
It's going to be late, yes. So it's going to be a tight one.
And that Sea of Blue is going to go nuts.
They're going to go crazy. Yes. Falcons.
Okay. Let's go to the red now. Some very interesting games there.
Yes.
Let's go with Clarkston Lake Orion first. Lake Orion's been playing better. They've been playing much better.
But it's too late. And
then you have Clarkston's Clarkston.
Yes. I think it's too late. I think they're going to give them a game. I think Lake Orion's starting to believe in themselves again.
Mm-hmm.
They found a defense.
Yep.
And it seems like the offense is putting some points up, but it is 24 or 21 going to do it.
Not against Clarkston. I think this team, they've got to throw it more. They got to be more balanced.
But That was their problem.
That was their problem.
They can't.
They're not a balanced team.
You shut down one, they shut down all.
Right. So
I'm thinking,
I don't trust Clarkson's defense one bit.
Really?
I don't trust that defense. They've been proven to give up a lot of points.
Okay.
Even against Oxford, they gave up 17. Sure. But that was a tight game. If Lake Orion plays time possession football, very similar to what they did against Stony Creek in the third quarter, there could be I might be talking
Sammy, really?
Possible U-word.
Wow. I didn't see that coming.
I'm talking about maybe a possible U-word.
Wow.
Time possession football. Give me green over blue.
You're saying that you are picking it.
Give me green over blue.
So the Lake Orion offensive line is going to push around that Clarkson defensive line
even with
to
Dillinger.
Keep that clock running.
Yes, I do.
Wow.
You going Clarkson?
I can't go that far. I'm happy for the Dragons of what they've accomplished the last couple games. At least get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, no way.
You're going blue over green.
Completely.
Yep. Okay.
And I'm going to say 2 weeks ago I said a blowout.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it's going to keep it within 10 points.
2 weeks ago I would have said blowout.
Oh, completely. I think they could keep it within 10.
Okay, now let's go to West Bloomfield and Southfield A&T. It looks like A&T's found a passing offense with Isaiah Marshall.
Yeah.
West Bloomfield secondary we know is legit.
Yes.
We know West Bloomfield's got a guy named Dylan Tatum.
Yes.
You know they got a guy named Raekwon Nance.
Yes.
They got a couple other guys who are legit.
We talk about superstar names that we all know.
Uh-huh. And then they got other guys that are legit, too. So,
it's more than just 3 dudes.
More than just 3 dudes. And that's why I'm sticking West Bloomfield.
Me too.
Because they're going to be, it'll be a really, really, I like that team. I really do. A&T, difficult schedule looms for them going forward. They got Oak Park next week, and then they got River Rouge to close out the year.
Tough.
Yeah. Real tough. And then the game you and I are keeping a real close dibs on. Oxford at Stony Creek.
Yes.
This
is going to be a fun game.
This has been developing a great rivalry in the past.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Stony Creek went to Oxford in 2019, beat them. Oxford, we know, has been rising.
New look Oxford.
Wildcat team. New look balance. Taking on Team Armor Up, who just did not look good last week against Lake Orion.
And putting points on the board.
Yep. Oxford, you know, this is a team. Experience matters when you got Brady Carpenter, Trent Muir, you got Mitch Viviano, your offensive line's gotten better. I mean, like, the only problem I have with Oxford is attrition.
Yeah, their defense.
Yeah, that's what comes down to attrition.
Yes.
You know, so
is this going to who has the ball last wins?
And we know Stony Creek wants to run that ball down for about 11, nearly almost a quarter. So when you look at this game on paper, I mean, you got to give an edge to I really think Oxford's going to win this game.
I do too.
Mm-hmm. But it's going to be close.
I don't know if it's going to be close.
You think it's going to be a blowout?
I don't know about blowout, but a definite solid win on the road.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because you know both these two teams are sound defensive. Well,
they are.
Stony Creek is solid defensively. You know, they are really good defensively. I trust Gary Griffith as Gary Griffith defense. I trust that defense. But Brady Carpenter is another.
Completely different.
Completely different person. So give me the Cats.
Okay. Oxford as well.
Yep. All right, I'm going to sign off here. Take care, everybody. Keep an eye on the blog. I'm at SammySemicolon@blogspot.com. Also, the ONTV blog. I write features for that as well. So we'll see what happens going forward. Soccer districts are up. Volleyball districts are starting to come up pretty soon, so we'll keep an eye on that. All right, take care, everybody, and God bless everybody.
All right, see you next week, Sam. That's it for the show. We'll see you next week. See ya!